right now.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Liz. All right, thank you very much. My next guest says, calm down, everybody. I know you're all probably excited if you're bullish on the markets today, but it's been a bit of a rough ride. He does not expect any more big gains this year, but nonetheless, it's not the worst picture. No total meltdown. Tyler Vernon is Chief Investment Officer at Biltmore Capital Advisors. But how do you wring some results, some income out of a potentially stale or stagnant market?
Well, first of all, over this first quarter, risk assets ran. Market ran. We had small cap, mid cap run, left a lot of the larger caps behind. Remember, the end of last year, we're talking about dividend players. You couldn't hear enough. Everybody was talking about dividend players. We think that's back the place to be in dividends, and especially large companies that have been largely left behind. Some other interesting strategies. We think covered call options make a lot of sense. These are options if you already hold an underlying stock and you're okay selling it at potentially a little bit of a higher price. When you sell a covered call option, you get paid a lot of money right now. And there's, again, a lot of income in your pocket. The risk is if the stock runs, your upside is capped. But in an environment where markets might not be running as much as one may think, to cap upside isn't that much of a risk. So, again, we get a lot of money paid up front. Risk being that we might not make as much if these stocks really run.
Tyler, give me an example. Is there a stock that you're doing this with right now?
Sure. Well, there is. Yesterday I was looking at Caterpillar. The stock, is around 107 or 108 or so. One can go out to January and write a 110 option on Caterpillar, meaning that if the stock went up to 110, they might have to sell the stock. So they still get a little bit of upside.
You get $5.
Yeah, but you'll get paid about $10 a share today in your pocket.
In your pocket.
So you receive $10 a share today. So if the stock goes nowhere, you've essentially made 10% just by selling that covered call option over the next year.
How do you pick stocks in which to sell the covered call option?
Yeah.
See, this is the tricky part, right?
Well, first of all, I think, again, Biltmore Capital spends a lot of time doing this. So you need to be watching these
hire
things on a
Biltmore
daily
Capital.
Well, I'm saying there are other firms that are out there, too, and there are mutual funds that actually do this. So, again, it's strategies that are a little bit harder to run. But typically, a little bit more volatile stocks make sense. The more volatility, clients can get paid a lot more through the covered call options. So you don't want a stock that goes nowhere, doesn't make as much sense.
On the screen, we've got Morgan Stanley, Gilead, Whirlpool, iRobot, SanDisk. Why these names? What is it about them where the covered call becomes profitable?
Well, again, Morgan Stanley is typically it's more of a volatile name. SanDisk, a little bit more of a volatile name. So typically, when you have these more volatile names, you get paid, the investor gets paid more upfront, just the nature of the beast.
Well, again, there's risk, folks. And when you do take that risk, there may be reward, maybe not, but that's what you would see. You wouldn't see it in some staid, boring
You're
stock.
right. But the nice thing about covered call options in general is that the risk is that you could have made more, right? When people think about risk, they think about losing their shirts, right? When they think about risk, the risk is still the underlying stock could go down. But by employing this strategy, the risk is, hey, I could have made $20. I only made 10. So for clients, a lot of people, they're okay taking that risk. Not a bad risk to take.
Okay. Coming up, Tyler is going to name some stocks that he really likes. He likes some dividend-yielding names. He will put them right out there for you. So get ready to write those down. Now, speaking of difference, the point that Rich is making and that the CME is making between manipulators and speculators. So let's bring in the team to see what they think about the role that at least speculation plays. Tyler Vernon of Biltmore Capital Advisors.
Well, again, what I think is going on is that, again, you need this. You need to provide liquidity. So the people that are speculating in this market are providing the necessary liquidity. When Kellogg's comes in and they want to hedge their wheat, who's going to be there? Who's going to be there to get an order done in a matter of a minute or seconds? So I think, again, it's very important for speculators to give that liquidity. Secondly, any of us can now get into mutual funds. Over the last year and a half, there are now mutual funds that trade futures on, commodities and interest rates. These are some of the only funds that were up about 15, 20% in 2008. So the fact that any of us can actually participate in this is a very important part of diversification and portfolio.
Michael Greenberger, University of Maryland Law Professor. What a rally here, up 198 points, but the NASDAQ up more than 59 points. S&P jumping 21. Huge day for the markets here with all major sectors moving higher. Are you looking for some income in the face of the opposite type of day? Because we've been up 198, we've been down 198. Biltmore Capital Advisors Tyler Vernon back with his stock picks to boost your personal cash flow. And again, the big discussion at the end of last year was dividend plays, dividend plays. You're still stuck on two of them here. Let's get to them.
Sure.
Right off the bat, Seadrill.
Yeah, we like Seadrill. Seadrill, we hear a lot about oil today. We've heard a lot about oil. The problem isn't that there's now oil out there, but it's harder and harder to find. And that's really where Seadrill operates. They operate in very harsh environments, very deep water type of drilling. And that's really where the money's made in drilling. They have one of the newest fleets that's out there, one of the highest utilization ratios. And,
we should talk about their growth, though. They had 5 rigs in 2005. Now they've got 62. Exponential growth, certainly. Is it that they're so good at what they do? They're a pure play. They're the only guys in the business who do this, or are they expanding too quickly?
Well, we know Transocean is one of their big competitors. They were involved with the whole blow up, several years ago. So certainly they have a clean record, great safety, but the need is there, and the fact that they're more leased out than all of their competitors is really interesting, and the safety is becoming more of an issue. So we think this is a leverage play. They're able to buy fairly using fairly cheap money. They're able to get a lot of cash flow. Again, this company is giving an 8.5% dividend. So even if it goes nowhere, kind of flounders around until the stock really moves, we'll take that.
Right. Somebody else was here and put it as, where else are you going to get a raise in this environment? There's your raise. 7%.
And the dividend was recently increased over the last year, so it can continue to move.
Freeport-McMoRan, FCX.
Yeah, that's obviously one of the largest miners of copper and gold in the world. They have unbelievable resources. There's a lot of concern about this China, story and a hard landing, and that's brought down the stock pretty dramatically over the last, month or so. And we think it's provided a really interesting entry point for investors that believe in that story, that believe in emerging markets continuing to grow. The company just recently refinanced some debt about a month ago.
What's the yield?
The yield's about 3.5, but we think there's a lot more upside here. Again, after this refinance, where they're saving about $160 million, the bonds rallied, but the stock fell dramatically. We think whenever that happens, it's interesting with the same company. We think the bond investors are right, and that there's a lot of upside here.
And Citi upgraded it to a buy from a neutral yesterday.
They must have been listening to our conference calls.
They were listening to you. Up the price target as well. Tyler, great to see you. Thank you for being here. Seadrill and Freeport-McMoRan. Tyler's picks for today. The closing bell ringing in 7 minutes. We're up 208.